All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you find yourself. My name is Adebayo Samuel Adedoyin, and my wife and I, Esther Kuganja, we used to come over here to this live podcast doing um, a talk on different topics that affect lives. That is aimed at impacting lives and you know, bringing about a reorientation to the minds of different people. Um, for some time now, we've been talking about character, values, and character development, and we have been looking at how the fact that character can bring about reformation to the minds of different people and their character as well. Character development can bring about um, right behavior, right attitude, right composition, right way of life. Okay, having the right perspective towards different issues, towards different matters, that brings about um, growth, prosperity, um, uplifting. In this society. Basically, the challenges that we face in our present day society is all as a result of people lacking characters, people losing values. The values that each society is built up with, is eroding. So um, we thought of it that this is a topic that we should actually do. And so for I think about 3 months now, we have been talking about values and character development. Last week, my wife talked about security, why lots of people feel insecure, all right, and why that affects the way they behave, and why people misuse or take advantage of them. All right. So, and if people actually learn to um, to to secure themselves, if they can build that character in them, then it can help them to be able to be better people. All right, and not being uh, misused. All right, not being abused by other people. Sorry. Okay, today I will be talking about something new, and it's going to be it's really interesting because it's something that is not being much not much of it is being spoken to, spoken about, and I think it's worth the while that we look at this topic. I'll be speaking on a topic called compassion today. If you are joining us, it's a pleasure having you here on the platform. Um, Please, we encourage you to share the uh, the program, share the live broadcast, so that other people can benefit from it. It is something that is really needed, and it's something that is it can bring about a change, because it's one of the primary things. Compassion is next to love, is next to kindness. So it's something that at the moment people are not really thinking about it. Okay, I'm not really manifesting. I'm not really um, living their lifestyle, with compassion, whatever things that they are doing, and that is something that is really mind-boggling. So it's something that is really necessary that we all get back to. Before I go into the main body of the topic, I'd like to read a newspaper report um, that happened recently in Africa, in a country called Uganda. All right. I believe that many of us who are here or who will be watching this may have heard about this story. I would like to read this story from an online newspaper called the Daily Mail. All right. And in its news section, it's right that an American pastor gave 50,000 Ugandans a miracle cure for malaria and HIV that was actually industrial strength bleach. So there are four highlights here. The first one says that Robert Baldwin, 52, used his global healing ministry to distribute healing water, but his cure had been labeled by the FDA a noxious substance used as bleach. Baldwin denied the newspaper claims and said, "All I wanted to do is to help people." Sam Little, 25, a British former clairvoyant, donated $10,000 to this mission. Now, from this news and its highlight, it gives us a clear picture of what some of the things that go on in our present day society. Here is a country. Okay, well, before I go into details, my wife is a Ugandan, all right, and I go with her to Uganda every year. I see the needs in the country. We have an NGO there. We try to reach out to as many people as we can. We see how youths suffer. We see the fact that many people want to live a better life and they are struggling. They are doing all that they can to survive. All right. There is an island called the Sese Islands. Okay, and on this island, it is reported that lots of people there are actually HIV positive. Why are they HIV positive? It's because some of the reasons is because many of the people there are fishermen, right? And on the coast, people want to come and enjoy themselves. People come from different parts of the country, and they want to enjoy themselves. Young ladies, women, that they are looking for work. They don't find work. So what they do actually is they engage themselves in prostitution, all right? Or sometimes they sleep with men just to get money, all right? They may not be officially prostitutes, but at least, sometimes they have boyfriend and girlfriends, and of course, it happens. They take money and they become, infected with the disease. All right. Now, this is just a part of it. The economic is also another issue that is worthy of note. Okay, and so looking at all these things, it gives us a clear picture that there is help, real help that is needed. Okay, now we as human beings, when we see such kind of things, which of course happens everywhere, by the way, not just only in Uganda. It happens in Nigeria, it happens in different parts of Africa. It happens even in the so-called first world countries. There are some people who are actually suffering, and their sufferings may not actually be talking about only about economic situation. It may be health situation. It may be emotional troubles. Okay, maybe family issues. There are different kinds of sufferings. Okay, now when we see people suffer, what naturally happens to us is that we feel, we empathize, right? Or we show sympathy, all right? And some people stop there. Some people move ahead to do something about it, okay? Now, what I'm here to do today is to talk about what compassion is, okay? Because I picked up something from this news report which says that this particular person says that he denied the claims that the newspaper, the reporters have said about him and what he does, that all he wanted to do is to help people. Okay? Now, he has, through his so-called help, many of the people that I read about, are in much more deplorable health situation. Some of the people are actually died. All right. So there are lots of things that surround the story. I don't know the full story because I get bits and pieces from the news. All right. So, but what I'm driving at is, if someone has compassion to do something about a situation, the compassion that the person has will move him or her to address the situation, to bring about the right solution to the situation. Okay? From this story, he claims to be helping, in quote, helping people. All right? And to help people means that you try to do something to relieve them of their sufferings, to relieve them of their pains. Now, but in this case, what the person actually is doing is killing them more. The question is why? If we analyze this story very well, if you read this kind of story, what comes to your mind is, why should he do something like this? In the first case, how can his so-called miracle cure not be pre-tested on, at least not go through some process of testing? Why can't it be proven to be effective? Why did he have to go to the back door and use other mediums in order to sell his product, even without confirming its efficacy, its efficiency? So questions are running through my mind right now. Okay, why did he do this? Did he do this because some other Africans or some other Ugandans have probably told him that, as a white person who has come to proclaim the gospel, who has a ministry, people will respect him more and will believe what he is doing, and so whatever he brings to their table, or whatever he tells them, that they will believe? Is that the case? Is it because he wants to make money, quick money, through dubious means? What exactly was running through his mind before he went ahead and said he was helping people? And that is the challenge that we have today, all right? Because if people lack values and lack character, then it means that not only people around them that will suffer, but a society can suffer because of them. So there is presently sufferings going on, and because somebody lacks character, somebody lacks the right value system, other people, those kind of people, or the people that he claims to help, suffer the more. This is why values and character, they are what brings about a rounded personality, a personality that is worthy of, acceptance. So this is something that is really, really critical, and it is something that is necessary that we address. By the way, what is compassion? What is compassion? I tried to do a little bit of research on this topic, and I came to a few understanding I'd like to share with us today. Okay, so that at least if we can get the basics right, then we can be on the right path to bringing correction to situations. Compassion is the result of seeing someone suffering and then deciding that they do not deserve to suffer, and then and feeling that something similar could easily happen to you, or to someone that you care about, and you do something to relieve the person. That's compassion. Compassion is a deep feeling of sympathy for someone who is suffering. If you see someone, for example, who is critically sick or desperately in need, you have that desire to do something to save the person. It means that you are showing compassion towards the person. Compassion, unlike any other similar emotion, is a bit different because of its uniqueness. When people say when people talk about compassion, they actually use it as a synonym to empathy or sympathy. Okay? They use it as a synonym, but they don't have the root meaning, the real meaning of what compassion is. Compassion is not a mere, emotion of pity. It is accompanied by a strong desire to take action and alleviate the sufferings that you see. Many times we are moved by situations and people who we see suffering. Okay? But when we stop at the point of only sharing in their state, then it is only a matter of showing sympathy or empathizing with people. Many people are good at showing sympathy or empathizing, Hey, oh, why did that happen? What a pity. And we stop there. We don't practically do something about that situation. Okay? We are perfect at showing sympathy when something happens. We don't do something practically to save the person, or to alleviate or to reduce the stress, the trouble that the person is going through. And we give several kinds of excuses for this. It could be that maybe, some people say, I'm busy, I can't leave what I'm doing right now. It could be that I'm supposed to be going to work, or I'm supposed to be engaged. My attention is needed elsewhere. We may not be vocal about it. It may be what we are thinking, and so that we don't do something about it. What are the other reasons that people give that they only stop at the point of showing sympathy or empathizing? It could be that, they say, um, they are not, they don't have the resources to help people. They don't have the right resources, and so because it is beyond, it is, they say it is beyond me, it is beyond what I can do. All right, which is acceptable. Sometimes we not have the right resources as well to do something about a matter, about a situation. At other times, it may be because the person in question is unworthy of our help. What do I mean? Probably because he or she has offended us in the past. They did something to us that is so grievous. Now, when the person is in pain, when the person is suffering, you say, well, maybe it is what do you call this? Nemesis. Maybe these nemesis are caught up with the person. All right. Now, there could be several reasons. It could be the fact that the person is not from your tribe. It could be because the person does not speak your language. It could be because the person comes from a different race. Maybe the person is a black person, the person is a white person, the person comes from a country or a culture that you don't like at all, because these people are evil. All right. So maybe they do something very bad. Now, because somebody is coming from that culture, you actually stigmatize the person, and the help that you ought to give to that person to alleviate the person from the suffering, you deny that help to come from coming. Okay. Maybe the person purely is not from your own biological family, and you say, well, I don't have the obligation to help this person. Maybe the person is not a Christian, and you have you use this quotation from the Bible that says, like what Jesus Christ said, that the food that is meant for the children should not be given to the dogs. And so because of that, you deny help, giving help. Okay? Maybe if you're a Muslim, maybe the person is not a Muslim brother, and it is forbidden to help somebody that is a kafir. What is a kafir? A kafir is an unbeliever. So as a Muslim brother, you don't want to help your fellow brothers, fellow human beings. What you are concerned about is the fact that is he a Muslim or not a Muslim? All right. I know so many of them this way. I was working with a guy who used to make fun of Muslims. Okay. In this part of the world. Maybe it happens in other places as well. He says that if he wants to go and buy a product in a shop, and he notices that the person is a Muslim, he puts on his act, his Islamic act, okay, and he says Salam Alaikum. If the person says Salam Alaikum and he says, my Muslim brother, welcome. What do you want? Well, this product is for 5 naira, but it's for 10 naira, but I can give you 5 naira because you are a Muslim brother. And so, of course, when the person is not a Muslim brother, no help, no compassion. All right. Okay. So we are dogmatic because of religion. We don't want to bend because of the fact that the person is a human being. So one thing that we need to understand basically is that we have several reasons why some people, lots of people do not show compassion. All right. But one thing that we must understand is when it comes to human beings should be paramount in everything. I'll go to that very soon. I'll tell you why very soon. Okay. First, I need to read a quote from a late woman who is a nun. Maybe if you Google this person, you will see her name, and you read much about her. Her name is Mother Angelica. She was an American Catholic nun. Okay, she has this to say. She said, "Our lack of forgiveness makes us hate, and our lack of compassion makes us hard-hearted. Pride in our hearts makes us resentful and keeps our memory in a constant whirlwind of passion and self-pity." And she is right by what she said, because she said, if people do not forgive other people, hatred builds in their hearts. They don't see what the person is going through from the first sight. What they see first is the reason why they hate this person. Okay, all right. Now, and also when we don't show compassion, our heart continues to be hard. It's like what we are seeing is just a picture. It doesn't affect us at all. It doesn't prick that human nature that we have. And that is really sorry. That is really sorry. I would like to also read another quote by an American actor, Robert Wagner. He said, "Pets have more love and compassion in them than most human beings." When I saw this quote, I totally agree. My wife once said to me that, you see, it's easy to work with animals, with pets, compared to human beings. Because human beings are so difficult, so inhuman, to put it that way. Okay? Now, compassion is a virtue and a value that is being preached by most religions, even though many of them fail to practice it, including Christianity. Compassion is essential for unity in the church. It is essential for unity in our community. It is essential for unity in our society. It is essential for unity in our organizations, in our country, in our continent. It is a value that can bridge the current racial divide in many society. We hear of ethnic clashes here and there. But when we have compassion, we will drop the sword. When we have compassion, we will withdraw the fist. When we have compassion, we will think first before we act. When we have compassion, we will look beyond what people are saying, and we will look at the human beings that we are addressing. The moment we remove compassion from our hearts and our relationships, what happens? We human beings, we turn to beasts. We turn to beasts. We turn to beasts. We turn to wild animals. That is why, because of a religion or because of somebody said, regardless of who the person is, whether the person is, a political figure, a father of the land, a respected figure, because he said go and fight, and then you go and fight. You don't think back and say you are actually hurting another human being. Let me read a few things that some of our people are saying here. Sister Chinwe says most Christians confuses compassion with sympathy and empathy. And that's right. That's right. That's perfectly correct. Thank you, ma'am. My wife says lack of compassion. It is beyond me, not my race, not my religion. It is not my obligation. Nemesis has caught up with that person, not available. That part actually is, I have a short story I would like to tell you, okay? It's just a bit, it digress, but I want to use this issue of nemesis to talk about this issue of nemesis. I was working in a place in Georgia, and I was a teacher in the school there. Now, in that school, all the kids loved me. I was, teaching there. Then there was, as a teacher, there will be some really, really stubborn kids. There will be some really, really troublesome students. Okay. Now I had a group of them that I keep, trying to help them to behave well and try to, let the lesson go on, fine and things like that. But on one occasion, they really got on my nerves. So I told him if he misbehaved, that I will report him to the authority. So he dared me. I was furious. And he came towards me. He charged at me. As he charged at me, I held his hand. Okay? I held him together and I moved him out of the class. And I took him to meet his class teacher. And I reported him to this class teacher. Alright? And I left the case there. The following day, the head teacher summoned me into the class. And they told me that, well, the kid went home and reported to his parents that I beat him up, I caused bruises in his body, I did this and I did that. And so for that reason, because the parents of the kids, they are major donors of the school, that they are saying that I should quit my job. Oh, what a sorry story for a teacher, who especially is not from the same culture. And that was the only job I had at that time, okay? Now, of course, no problem. I left the job. It's not, Then, after a few months, there was a big storm that came in that city. And where the school is positioned is in a park. All right? And across that park was a zoo. We have wild animals there. It happened that overnight the rain fell so much and destroyed the school. It destroyed the park. Animals, wild animals were escaping on the road in the city. Now when I heard the story about the school and I saw the pictures, one part of me was saying, hey, could this be judgment from God? The other part of me said, no, this is not good. Oh God, have mercy on these people. I went on my knees and I was just praying for these people. It took a long time for the school to recover. The government had to intervene. The teachers, of course, had lost their jobs. For months, lots of things was in disarray. If many people were in my situation, they would say, hey, Nemesis, don't catch them. God, catch them. But rather, I was just praying for them. Okay? I was just praying for them. I had compassion towards them. There was very little I could do, really, okay? But I had something that I could still do. I could still pray for them, all right? And I met some of the teachers. I still went to encourage them, okay? And I still did a few things about them. Now, when people go through problems, when people go through challenges, we do not, regardless of what they have done for us, done against us, we do not say that it is nemesis. Rather, we should say, even if we think it is nemesis, right? We should look for a way to help them out of their situation. That makes us human. Okay. Now, I think the reason for example, that someone is, another example is that someone is falling from the expectation of others only for the sin or the crime he or she has committed and is sent to be tortured, stoned, publicly disgraced, even by using the mass media or the internet, is because they have lost the sense of compassion. When you see your brother or your sister or somebody who is respected in society, in your religious environment, maybe he's your pastor, maybe he's a head of a community, and then the person does something that is below expectation, all right? And then we go to the media, we go and then do lots of things, without first considering, if the person, what really happened to the person, okay? That it means that we don't have compassion, towards that person. Why am I saying this? For example, I have talked about this matter, or I saw on the news, okay? Now, the act alone is terrible, okay? But apart from the act, on the other hand, I am also thinking, what on earth was he thinking? Why could he have done this? What was the reason for this? So there must be a balance. And that is why, for example, we have the law courts. When somebody does something that is criminal, okay, the courts sits. They try to understand the situation. Yes, there are laws in the land. Yes, there are statutes, there are decrees, whatever it is, okay? But at least the court still sits down. They still give this person a lawyer to defend him or her. Peradventure, the story may not be clear. Peradventure, something may be wrong somewhere. Peradventure, he may have actually committed this crime, all right, but, all right, there may be reasons that led him to do those things. That at that point of doing it, he was totally out of his mind. Okay? Now, that is why we have those things. As human beings, we need to sit back and think of things. Okay? And then relate with them based on a right judgment. Based on a right judgment. And when we see that the person is suffering, okay, we should try to relieve the person of the suffering. Then, if there's a need for judgment, try to to do that afterwards. Not when the person is dying or the person is suffering, you say, God catch up. No, it's not correct, it's not right. We must first do something about the matter, and then we try to correct the situation later. We must understand something, that there is no perfect human being. We all should be aiming for perfection by upholding right, and high moral virtues, ethical standards in whatever thing that we are doing. Now, while we are doing that, we must also remember that as human beings, we are weak in some areas. Today, you may be raising your shoulders because you have got it right. Tomorrow, it may be your turn. Will you not desire other people to show you mercy? We should think about this. What goes round comes around. What goes round comes around. If you don't do something to help other people, when it comes to your turn, why should you expect people to show you compassion? Nelson Mandela has this to say. He said, our human compassion binds us the one to the other, not in pity or patronizingly, but as human beings who have learned how to turn our common suffering into hope for the future. All right, we have somebody here who is Ajimuda Joseph. Says great lesson. Galatians 6:1. Galatians 6:1. Let me try and see what that says. If that is something that we can actually also. Okay. I think, this is also really good. Galatians 6:1 from the Holy Bible says, brothers and sisters, if someone is caught in a sin, you who live by the Spirit should restore that person gently. But watch yourselves, or you also may be tempted. Thank you, brother. God bless you. Thank you for that scripture, that word. It's something to really, really think about. Sachinwe says, what you sow, that you will reap. That's correct. Now, compassion drives us to speak on issues, not because they directly affect us, but because they affect our brothers in Christ. They affect our human brothers, whether they are Christians or whether they are Muslims, whether they are whatever it is that they are, whether they come from a different culture or a different background, whether they come from a different tongue, it doesn't matter. Compassion makes us to speak up for them when they are suffering. We have spent too much time dismissing feelings. We worry a lot about the law, absolute law. He is supposed to be perfect. He is supposed to be this. What the law says is this. In the ideal situation, this is how it's supposed to act. We recite facts. We use evidences. We say, okay, he did this, he did that. Because he did this, he did that. He is not worthy of my help. He is not supposed to be given reckoned with. We forget compassion. We have totally forgotten that the strongest of human beings is but a weakling in one area or the other. For example, I personally, when I see something that is wrong or is bad, I address it immediately. Okay? But I also give room for the benefit of a doubt. I also give room for the fact that the person is human. And when the person is suffering, if the person is not suffering, you can go on head on and try to see how you can correct the person. But when the person is suffering, okay, don't allow him to continue to suffer. Sufferings actually helps because there are a lot of things that sufferings do for us as human beings. Sufferings help us to realize that we are human beings. Sufferings help us to recognize that we are not Almighty God. Sufferings, helps us to learn patience. Because when you're suffering, you don't get immediate cure. Right? When you're suffering, it takes a while, and during that time, you learn so many things. You think about the past. You think about the effect of what you have done. All right? Or if it's a health issue, you wish and you realize that the world is not all the time. Life is not all about enjoyment. There's a time that you fall sick as well. So it gives you a balanced mind, balanced emotion. Okay? Sister Chinwe says, I believe that compassion is a starting point for societal transformation. This is because it is founded in love, and the action that follows aim at bringing positive change in a particular area of life. Imagine a community where people are compassionate. It will be a great place to live in. Sister Chinwe, June, sorry. This is really, really brilliant. This is the truth, basically. If we want to reform our society, every human being, every one of us should go and learn compassion. We should take time to be compassionate about situations. We should not be judgmental. Rather, we should have some human side to us. Okay? Now, I'd like to read a quote by a French writer who is also a philosopher, a feminist and social theorist. Okay? Her name is Simone de Beauvoir, a French lady. She says, one's life has value so long as one attributes value to the life of others by means of love, friendship, indignation, and compassion. When I saw the word indignation, in my mind, what indignation means is something terrible. I said, what does it mean? And I went to the dictionary. What does the meaning of indignation? Indignation means when you see something that is terrible, something bad, say, oh no, you feel so emotional about it, and you say, this should not happen. This should not have happened. That's indignation. Okay? She said, our life has value when we show compassion to other people. Our life has value when we value the life of other people, by means of love, friendship, indignation, and compassion. Okay. Now the Apostle Paul from the Holy Bible, who is one of the most respected among the saints up to today, he expressed compassion for the Corinthian church, but he still condemned their practices. Okay, that's a balanced mind. That is a balanced emotion. That is a balanced character. It is not just to be going headlong, criticizing people without thinking about them as well. If they are suffering, if they are not changing, if they continue to do bad, all right, then they must be brought to book. Okay, but when they change, when they are sorry, we must be compassionate. We must try to lift them up, try to put them in the right place. Okay, so we must still respect lives, especially when they are falling away. For example, when a killer is sentenced to life imprisonment or death by hanging, we must pause and say, what was the genesis of this hardened heart that made him to kill? Could it be the same society that killed his spirit, especially when he needed help the most? Because today we just look at the results. We don't look at the process. Don't look at what happened, what could have, and that's why we have, for example, I said again, in the courts. All right. Okay, they expect research to be done. They expect findings to be done. That's why we have lawyers who go into the case. They look at the medical records. They look at psychological records. They look at so many other things to come to a conclusion, even if the person still needs to be punished. Okay, so when someone comes to us for help and we don't have the capacity at that time, we don't stop at the point of showing sympathy or showing emotion or being or empathizing with the person. We can do something about it. We can look for others who can help if we cannot help. Okay, for example, somebody comes to you, he is desperately in need. The landlord wants to evict him or her, and it comes to you for help. And truly speaking, you don't even have money at that point in time. But what can you do? You can try and talk to your friends. Can you help this person? Can you try and get help from this person? This person needs help. Let us not sit down and keep quiet. Let us speak out for him or her. Let us put an advertisement for, in the church or in the mosque or in the society, on the internet, about the critical situation of this person. People should try and donate just to help this person, to relieve the person of the pains. £1, $2, £1, £5, whatever Dutch mark that you have, whatever kind of money that you have, just to support the person. Okay, that is showing compassion. We can do something by going out of our way to help other people, even when we don't feel comfortable to do it. You know what I'm saying? We should try and do something about it. A Buddhist called the Dalai Lama, he's a Buddhist, right? He has this to say: Say whether one believes in a religion or not, and whether one believes in rebirth or not, there isn't anyone who doesn't appreciate kindness and compassion. So, today, we may be the person that is shouting, hey, 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 hey. Tomorrow, it may be our turn. Through compassion, the walls of separation between us evaporates. Through compassion, we are all equal aspects of the whole, each contributing to the overall state of well-being or lack. Imagine you have an injury. You broke your arm. You feel the pain in your bones. I once broke my arm, my left arm. You feel the pains in your bones. You don't stop at that feeling of pain. You rush to the hospital. You look for medical care. Now, why do you do this? It is because you cannot separate yourself from your broken arm. It is part of your body. It is the same as well when it comes to other human beings. We are part of a whole creation. You understand? God made every human being. So when you see your fellow human being suffering and you remove your face, you say it doesn't concern me. You don't show sympathy. You are indirectly, doing yourself no good. You are doing yourself harm as well. Before I finish, I would quickly like to read an abstract from a research paper written by a medical practitioner named Beth Lone. It was published in the International Journal of Health Policy and Management in September 2015. He has this to say. He says, compassion is a complex process that is innate, determined in part by individual traits and modulated by a myriad of conscious and unconscious factors, immediate context, social structures and expectations, and organizational culture. Compassion is an ethical foundation of health care and a widely shared value. It is not an optional luxury in the healing process. While the interrelations between individual motivation and social structure are complex, we can choose to act individually and collectively to remove barriers to the innate compassion that most healthcare professionals bring to their work. Doing so will reduce professional burnouts, improve the well-being of healthcare workforce, and facilitate our efforts to achieve the triple aim of improving patients' experiences of care and health while lowering costs. Now, what this health practitioner is particularly saying is, in the field of medicine, you cannot separate compassion from healthcare. Every health practitioner thinks about the situation the person is going through, and they try to do something. Imagine that you are a doctor. You work in a hospital, and there is an emergency. A patient is wheeled into the emergency room and they call you immediately. They tell you the story they tell you the state of what happened. What will you do? You take your stethoscope and your instruments. You will dash to the theater. You will try just to save the life of the person. You are not concerned about whether the person is black or white, whether the person speaks your language or he speaks a language that you hate. You are not concerned about whether the person is rich or whether the person is poor. You're not concerned about whether the person is, an influential person in society or whatever. The primary thing that you're trying to do is to rescue, is to save life. This is the kind of mentality that we should have as human beings everywhere. Our primary aim when we see somebody suffering is to try and relieve them of that pain. And it must be in a justified, proven way. Not like what we saw about the story in Uganda of the miracle cure. That is not justified. That is not acceptable. You can try to save somebody, but it must be through the right means, not through dubious means. That is what I would like to say here. So, let's see what some of our brothers and sisters are saying. Okay, Jimuda Joseph says, we should not allow our emotions override that still small voice within. Compassion is needed in our daily lives. Thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate your comments today. They make sense. They try to put us in the right perspective. They try to encourage us to do what is right. Yes. So so quickly before we finish, how can we be compassionate? I'll just mention a few points and then we will come to a close. First, look at the suffering the person is going through before you ask what led to that suffering. We are quick to judge others and condemn them without being moved by their situation. Immediately, we look at the sufferings the person is going through. There is no way we will not have that emotion, a human feeling. Number two, consider how you will feel if it were you that you were experiencing that suffering. If you think about that alone, it will move you to do something. Number three, don't let facts becloud your sense of compassion. The facts may be there. You may know the true story. Even Jesus did so on the cross of Calvary. But he still listened to that thief's plea and he promised him eternal life. He gave him a second chance. Number four, be always ready to forgive and let go. Be always ready to forgive and let go. If you have this normal thing in you, there is no way that you don't have compassion. There is no way you have compassion. Finally, remember that acts of love and kindness can go a long way and will surely come back to you when you show it to others. If you look at these five ways, 5 items, if you practice it every now and then, definitely you will build compassion in you. Thank you very much for watching today. I bring you greetings once again from my wife, and I thank you every one of us who has contributed to the live broadcast, in commenting, in supporting, in sharing, watching with us, inviting friends. For all those who should be watching as well, please, I want to encourage us that we must get back to having compassion. Thank you very much for watching, and bye for now.